is a legend of one man who persuaded his friends to watch every Godzilla movie ever made. This world is on the brink of destruction. We need you now, Godzillavangelists! Godzillavangelists, a Geek Stew Network podcast, produced and hosted by Ryan Sargent, featuring Sam Schlenker and Joanna Brodecki. You know, I think today's movie really teaches you about the importance of improvisation. When you don't have a good monster idea, you use your girlfriend. When you don't have a pistol, you use corn on the cob. And when you don't have a plot for your movie, you use space cockroaches. If you couldn't tell, today we're talking about Godzilla versus Gigan. And today, we have with us a new pal of mine. I'm delighted to have her here. It's a comedian and Twitch streamer, Sez. Hello.
Hello. Don't know why I made that sound like I was American then. That doesn't work. It's my one novelty.
Howdy, I am Zez the guest.
I'm just one of y'all Americans over here.
Well, you're here to talk with us about monsters, and of course here are Sam and Joanna as well.
Skryonk.
Hello.
You had the privilege of making me watch the first Godzilla film I've ever seen.
I know, I would rather it not have been this one.
Interesting choice, Ryan, for the first one.
No, it was an experience, and I had a good laugh. I appreciated it the way it should be appreciated.
Maybe someday I'll talk you into watching one of the better ones, but we'll see.
No, I'll be disappointed. I'll be like, there's too much logic.
I don't know why you guys are hating on this.
Ryan, don't give your judgment away. Come on, this early in the pod.
So you haven't seen any movies. Did you have an impression of Godzilla in your head? What kind of guy he was? What his life was like?
Look, I didn't know much about him, how many children he had, if he had a mortgage, none of that stuff. I just thought, big guy, look like dinosaur, stomp on city. That's all I knew. Screech like violin. That's it. So I was very delighted to see this.
Godzilla has meant many things, but today it's a goofy beat-em-up, a piece of 70s science fiction cheese. Godzilla vs. Gigan, also released in 1977 in the US as Godzilla on Monster Island. Basically the same movie with a couple tiny cuts. And this is infamously one of the cheapest Godzilla movies with a lot of stock footage. Much less cleverly integrated than the last movie we watched. Without tipping your hand, Sam and Joanna, what did you think going into this one?
I know exactly what I thought going into this one. I hit play, and right as the credits were rolling, I had the thought, man, I can't believe there are so many Godzilla movies, and that we have watched what feels like a lot of them, and I still feel like I'm stuck in the 1970s and I'm never gonna make it out of the 1970s. Crazy. And then the movie ended and I went, wow, I still really can't believe there are so many of these. This film felt very similar to a lot that I've seen. And that was my verdict on it. Sam, your thoughts?
Wow, I might be the one who defends it the most. I didn't hate it. I will be the number one defender of Jun Fukuda on this podcast. 4 people in the whole world will get this, but I think that Jun Fukuda is the Lewis Gilbert to Ishiro Honda's Terrence Young. And for what it's worth, I think Yoshimitsu Banno is the Peter Hunt of the Godzillas. For those 4 of you out there,
Write in. We'll give you a prize. I'll figure out something to give you if you knew what that meant.
Specifically, what I mean by that is that I think Jun Fukuda brings a panache to how the movie is shot, even if the actual movie itself isn't great. It feels like a more modern movie, and he finds ways of making things look interesting, especially the human stuff. The monster stuff I can't defend quite as much, but the human stuff, it's well done. I always still felt like Ishiro Honda's stuff feels like he's an older generation or something. Fukuda has a little more style, and I started the movie and I thought, I'm into this.
Well, that was kind of my thought too. The first 24 to 29 minutes, I was like, all right, punchy, fun, Love the lead guy. Love a lot of the casting here. Very available for it. And then I thought, I wonder how this film is going to be 90 minutes. Where is it going to go? They must have like some long monster fight coming up. And then they did. They did have a long monster fight coming up. In fact, I jokingly wrote in my notes at some point, LOL 17-minute monster fight when it was at like 6 minutes.
Oh boy.
And then 47 hours later, I was like, it was not a joke.
You know that the writers sat down and said, all right, you've got the classic 2-act structure. You have human cockroach talk, and then you have monster fight. And that's your 2 acts. Divided perfectly down the middle.
They nailed it.
Here we go with the synopsis. Sound effects at the ready. Manga artist Gengo is down on his luck, but his girlfriend Tomoko gets him a job interview at a new theme park called World Children's Land.
Peace we will find.
I'm very confused by that.
I'm just singing about peace, Ryan. It's a key theme of the children's park.
Okay, singing about peace. That is a key theme of the park.
It's Godzilla after all.
So he's hired, but he becomes unsettled by the weird employees.
Why is that man a child?
Why have I not taken a good look at anyone's shadow yet?
One day, near the park's offices, Gengo runs into a young woman fleeing the security guards.
Cute outfit, but my underwear kind of shows. Whoops.
I missed that.
I had the same thought when she was running away. I was like, oh.
Joanna, good improv, but you were hired to be an extra. You were just supposed to run. You weren't supposed to comment on whether your underwear is showing or not.
I'll hold for sound effects only. Sorry.
So Gengo runs into this young woman fleeing the security guards. She drops a tape, but later recovers it from Gengo with the help of her hippie friend. These two, Machiko and Shosaku, are investigating the strange Children's Land organization and Machiko's missing brother Takashi.
Hot. He's hot.
He's a handsome guy. Soon they discover Takashi is imprisoned at the park's Godzilla Tower.
Oh no.
And the two heads of Children's Land have the names and faces of 2 men who disappeared in the mountains. They also play the tape, alerting Godzillavangelist that something is wrong in Japan.
Beep boop 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 beep beep bop bop boop boop boop.
Gengo's boss, Kubota, tracks down the group and attempts to kill them. They are saved by Tomoko.
Yay.
After failing to convince the police to act, the 4 set out to rescue Takashi. During the rescue, Gengo and Tomoko are captured, and the theme park employees are revealed to be the hosts of space cockroaches from the Space Hunter M Nebula. The aliens summon Ghidorah and new monster Gigan from space. But Takashi, Gengo, and Tomoko get free during the process. After the space monsters rampage through Tokyo, they run into Godzillavangelist at World Children's Land, where they have a 2-on-2 brawl. The Earth monsters are beaten down at first, partially thanks to lasers inside the Godzilla Tower.
Choo, 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 choo.
Pew.
However, our human heroes get help from the army to set up a TNT trap in the tower's elevator. The ensuing explosion destroys the tower and kills the aliens inside. Without any direction, Ghidorah and Gigan are outmatched by Godzillavangelist. The space monsters flee, while the Earth monsters return to Monster Island as heroes.
Yay. Oh, how does the song go?
With his enormous body and droopy eyes. That's our Godzilla.
Rock on, Godzilla.
You guys have asked in a few previous movies, like, oh, is this pop song a hit? Is this pop song a hit? Because there's had a few Godzilla pop songs now. This one was the hits. I don't have exact chart data, but the children of Japan loved the Godzilla merch at the end of this movie. And there's even like a karaoke version that sold surprisingly well.
I thought the song from the last one was catchier, with the girl who was like, I'm Janis Joplin and it's a Godzilla Godzilla song. I thought that one was great.
I agree. That seems like a better, more exciting song. I will say I love the comic book and theme park aesthetic this whole movie has.
I agree.
The comic book dialogue, too, was the highlight of the film.
You mean when Godzilla and Angelus are talking and the bubbles come out of their mouth?
The whole, hey you, yeah? Go see what's up.
Doesn't it seem like there should be more or less of it? Doesn't it seem like if you're going to have it once, you'd have it again or never?
Totally.
They do it twice, but you're right. You would think they would put it on more.
It also feels like if you're going to do it, you're going to go for a dialogue that's a bit juicier. But no, it was just pretty straightforward commands. And Godzilla's pal being like, okay, here I go. And Godzilla being like, great, see you later. But I was still really here for it.
It sounds like the kind of comic book I want to read. It's just the goers and doers.
Straight to the point.
It does have a bit more character in the dubbed version, which is very funny and different. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Something funny going on. You better check.
Oh, God.
Hurry up.
Why does it sound so bad?
So, was I the only one that watched the dub version?
I also did, but Sam and Joanna, I think, watched the Japanese version.
Because I was not prepared for the English dubbing. It sounds like Ferris Bueller's friend when he's on the phone pretending to be his dad the whole time. I couldn't get over it. And then when the monsters were talking, I'm like... what's happening? I can't understand. Because they're like, "Rah," the whole time. There's trouble ahead.
I hear something.
I know, we've wanted to know all these years what Godzilla sounds like. And it sounds like he's been eating cigars and gargling battery acid.
They sound like they're in like an Addams Family movie. He's Cousin It, and they're like, ah.
Exactly what it's... I was going to say, yeah.
It's like an anti-smoking ad. Don't smoke, this is what you're going to sound like.
That is definitely one of the classic scenes from the movie and one of the most well-remembered.
Is a classic scene or scenes of them just in the water. I want to calculate how much is just them swimming in the water.
Oh, yeah, they gotta swim real far, always.
It's a long swim.
You know, it's a big trip from Monster Island to Tokyo. It'll take you a while.
I don't know geographically where they are, so they always are swimming with their heads above water. I was like, oh, they're surfacing. They're near the end of the beach. And I was like, nope, they're still here and it's nightfall now. I don't know what's happening. They've been here forever. It's been like 3 weeks.
You don't want to be underwater the whole time.
Taking a nice buddy-buddy romantic swim under the moonlight. It'll take their time.
No, get a good view.
Why Angelus? That's my question.
I think the practical answer is he had one of the newer suits that wasn't beaten to all hell.
I want to know why Godzilla only brought his 8th best friend to the party.
That's true. It's not Mothra, it's not Rodan. It's good old Angelus. But, you know, I think this movie gives Angelus a lot of character as like the loyal, always there in a scrap best friend for Godzilla.
Yeah, I was totally getting like Bowser vibes. I feel bad that they didn't use the comic book graphics in the dubbed version. But the second they put those up, it was like, and Godzilla is the underdog. Like the second that they're like, let's go, what's wrong? Come on. It's like, okay, he's the underdog and this is his little hero's journey going on. But he's no longer like top pack.
I see what you're saying. I think that the final battle has like WWE wrestling vibes. Like, tonight, it's Godzilla and Angelus in a tag team match against Ghidorah and Gigan. And I'm here for it. That's one thing that I love about the battle, is it just unabashedly is like this fun wrestling match.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a really, really low-rated tag team where you can obviously see the other two waiting to just kind of... Am I in yet? Can I do stuff? Except these guys aren't meant to be tagged in. They're standing right there. Keep fighting, please. Stop just standing there in your rubber suit. Do something. Help your friend. I don't know.
They just took a really long swim that we watched. They're very tired.
Yeah, that's true. They're tired, yeah.
No, see, they had to make it to the 90-minute mark. They couldn't all go at once, or the movie would not have made it long enough.
True. It'd be a 5-minute fight. They needed 45 minutes.
The new stuff they actually shot is good. But about half the fight is blatant stock footage, which has been badly altered day for night from the older movies. Like whenever they're fighting Ghidorah, I don't think Ghidorah does anything in the new footage hardly. There's more of that than I remembered, which is a real bummer because I was like, oh, this one's like so cheap, but it's really fun. But when it goes on so long and so much of it is like this just completely out of place stock footage. I'm like, oh no.
As someone who hasn't seen any of the other Godzilla films, though, I didn't notice the stock footage in the fights. Like, I did sit there and go, oh, it's suddenly like sunset sort of time. It was nighttime before, and that confused me, but I just thought they just made a massive mistake while shooting. So that makes way more sense.
Yep.
But I did notice the absolutely beautiful war stock footage that they used. Just cut that in halfway. Looks nothing like the rest of the film, just people running around in a war zone.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, they actually did have the money in the early 60s Godzilla movies, so that is purpose shot for Godzilla movies, but not this one.
Oh, so it's like stuff they filmed in the past that they've just reused.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
You know what I'm realizing after now seeing this and All Monsters Attack? Is it All Monsters Attack? No, Godzilla's Revenge.
Both names are accurate, but go ahead.
They're the same movie.
Yeah.
What I'm realizing is stock footage they're using footage from previous Godzillas as legacy. It's a legacy move, and didn't even know that's what we were doing with Godzilla versus Kong.
That's true. You did use a bunch of stock footage.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even put it together, but I didn't know that it was actually a long heritage of cutting corners by reusing old stuff. I felt the same way where I was into it for probably the first half hour or so, and I'm completely with you that fight, because of that footage, it's just really, really long.
It's not just the footage. It's legitimately like 46 minutes long with occasional pauses, but like it's a long time for your plot of the film to be 4 monsters fighting. Fight me on it if you want.
No, I would fight you, but I need to get 2 more people.
Like your 8th best friend?
You know what was a disappointment to me? That was both it was a positive and a disappointment, is that the idea of having a fight at a Godzilla themed theme park rocks. Like, it's so great. It didn't feel very theme parky to me. I kind of wanted there to be rides or something other than some mushrooms and a big tower. Like, that was the bummer, where it was like, it was right there. You could have put, honestly, anything that a theme park would have, just one carousel, one Ferris wheel.
You do see a Ferris wheel go over. It's blink and you miss it, but you're right.
Because they were under construction. Remember all the bulldozers?
All the construction works there. I assumed it hadn't been built up yet. Like, it was under development sort of a thing.
But what I'm saying is that's the wrong call, and they should have made it have already been developed. Like, it seems like that was their excuse for not building more rides.
That's sort of the running theme for this movie for me, where there's all these appealingly wacky things, like manga artists, karate girlfriend, space cockroaches, Godzilla theme park. I'm like, I want all of this, but there's so much that can't deliver on those premises, unfortunately.
Yeah, it feels like they decided the plot. They were like, all right, aliens and their planet bad, and so that'll be that. And then didn't really expand on anything. Like, our leading man, he's like a goofy, fun leading guy. And then we just kind of let him all drop to the wayside. And I think my biggest thing is, I feel like in a lot of these, there's this trusted sense of like, wow, it's Godzilla. And then at the end, it's like, is Godzilla okay? Is Godzilla going to be fine? And watching this, I was like, Ryan, don't hate me for this, but I'm like, why do I give a fuck about Godzilla in this film? Like, there's no setup for him. We're just expected to kind of believe that he's this big beloved story in these characters' lives, but the attachment to him felt less authentic than I think in Destroy All Monsters or whatever, the one with the little boy child that I love so much.
It's one of those cases where he was just a recurring series for children at this point.
Right. That's helpful.
Although the next movie chronologically was technically cheaper, I think they didn't work around their limitations very well in this movie. Like, this is the one that feels the cheapest to me. You can see like the walls at every corner. In fact, there's some shots where Godzilla's costume is literally falling apart on screen, which is the saddest thing to see as a Godzilla fan.
Yeah, when they're like construction headquarters and it's clearly like a miniature that is like this big. I mean, I loved the corniness of that, but yeah.
I will defend that though, because in Monster Zero, that also has shots of miniature people like going in and out of the spaceship. And in that case, they didn't even pretend to hide that they were miniatures. Like, it was just an action figure that takes up 1/3 of the screen and goes up slowly. Whereas this, at least they had the decency to shoot it super far away. So you know it's a miniature, but it's not like so in your face. Like I when they were going down the zip line, I was kind of charmed by that. I was like, well, at least he positioned the camera 100 feet away.
That was a highlight for me.
The scenes where it was characters in a room, the stuff that was just dramatic stuff, looked and felt really good to me. It almost felt like they maybe spent a little too much money on those. The scene where the girlfriend tips him off about the job in like that diner was like, oh, this is great. Like, this looks awesome. And really those first like 15 minutes where it's all those kinds of scenes, I didn't for a moment feel like it felt cheap. If anything, it felt like it was done really well. And then you were completely right that once anything would take some kind of ingenuity to hide the fact that they didn't have the budget to do it, they just don't hide it. It's just like, no, this is the theme park with nothing in it.
Yeah. How I would put it is, in none of these movies do the miniatures look like reality, but they all have typically looked like an interesting semblance of reality. Like, this is kind of what reality feels like through the Godzilla mirror, but a lot of shots in this feel like you're being laughed at. Like, yeah, that's a building, sure.
This is one part that I was really confused if it's meant to be realistic, if it was meant to be... I can't remember which monster it was that destroyed it, but they were like blatantly like pretty big dolls. And I couldn't tell if it was meant to be like they've destroyed a model set or something. Because I was like, that's like a Barbie doll just standing there. That's not like a little painted minifig. Like, that is just a doll with a cheap wig. Like, what's happening? But it's hilarious and I love it.
As a kid, I was embarrassed by that shot because I thought it was supposed to be humans.
As a kid.
But now clearly they're supposed to be mannequins in a shop window. But it's still, they're like way out of scale. They look like they're like 10 feet tall.
Oh, see, no, I didn't get that. Oh, well, there you go. I feel like 10-year-old you. I missed that completely.
The moments of quirkiness and weirdness I so appreciated in the beginning, and I think that's why I was then sad when, I'm never one, like, once the fight is ever beyond 5 minutes to 7 minutes, I'm like, all right, let's wrap this rodeo up. But like the weird specific moments where they're just like all eating bananas trying to like figure out the plan, I was just like, I wonder how many takes they did, how many bananas did those people have to eat. Just like, what a weird fucking choice, not just for the man with the corn on the cob, but for all of them to just be like, yep, time for a banana. Or like when they went to the small town to see Fumio.
Yeah, it was like the alien secret identity.
Right. And they're talking to like his parents and they're like, oh, secretly he was always the class idiot, and like joking like that. It was just so weird and goofy. But then I think it just fell off and lost a lot of focus because there probably wasn't really that strong of a plot to begin with, and that's why those little shticks and banana jokes, etc. were...
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what did work. There's a lot of fun characters in this. I think my favorites are a straight up tie between the girlfriend, who's like very sweet and funny but also feisty and kicks ass, and the goofy ass hippie with the little soul patch. The scene where he sticks him up with the corn on the cob is like so blatantly wacky and stupid, but I still laugh at it. Like, the comedic timing of it works for me. I do like that way out there 70s cheesy wacky stuff.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that I liked the band of main characters in this one more than any other one, because I like our manga artist too. It's not that they are the deepest of characters, but I liked them. I can't explain the manga artist's deal whatsoever. He seems terrible at his job in every way, both creatively. Well, I guess he can kind of draw, but creatively, his ideas are bad, and he also seems like he has real problems finishing anything.
He's also arguing at his job interview at the start of the movie. He's arguing with the guy who's gonna hire him. It's like, no.
I do want someone to do a Godzilla versus Homework Monster movie.
It's kind of shocking, but do you know the scene early in the movie when he's meeting his girlfriend in the cafe, and he calls her Mamagon under his breath?
Such a good moment.
Sez knows what I'm about to say, but in the English version, they inexplicably dubbed it. He whispers under his breath, hard bitch.
What?
I didn't actually catch that at all.
Hold the fucking phone.
I do not understand why they made that choice. And they actually had to cut it out when they brought it to the US. So, like, what the fuck?
Oh, Lord.
Why are you calling your girlfriend a bitch?
Lost in translation on that one.
Yeah, and I think that funny relationship, too, of, like, him calling his girlfriend that, not the hard bitch, but, like, what we were assuming in the original version. And then all the weird little isms he had, too, like, when he was heading up the stairs after he picked up the tape from the ground and kind of got shook up. He was like flouncing up the stairs, like skipping along. It was a solid comedy, and the director was great at playing his heart with his fun orange suit and pink undershirt, which is an outfit that I was here for, ready for. Sam, maybe I might agree. Although I also did love the cast of that one where they were all like on the island together.
That one was good too. It's just another feather in Jun Fukuda's cap as being the unsung hero director of the series.
Whenever I'm watching a Godzilla film and I'm like, oh, now we're watching Scooby-Doo, and they're very like, yeah, we gotta solve the problem and we're goofy and weird. Those are always my favorite.
Says, who's your favorite character?
Look, it was written down as one of my all-time faves, was obviously like the, I don't know, karate girlfriend. I can't remember her name, but I was really struggling to kind of follow what her role was at the beginning. Like, I was like, is it his girlfriend? Is she just like her like sidekick trying to get him employed? Like, is it a manager? And then I was like, it's kind of like a boyfriend girlfriend. And then suddenly I'm at the scene where she just, hiya! Give me the guns. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's the best person in the world. What else do I need to see here? Until like scenes later and they've got 3 guns and she suddenly can't bust a move anymore. I was so disappointed. I was like, where did this go?
It's because she knew they were cockroaches then. She didn't want to mess with them.
Yeah, she was like, oh God, no. It genuinely made me laugh, and I thought I would only laugh at like how bad it was, but it was so self-aware at its goofiness, which was just 11 out of 10 for me always. And so even when he was like sketching that, what was it, Mama Gun? Is that what the name of the
one styled after his girlfriend? Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw him doing it and I was like, oh yeah, because that's the dress that his girlfriend's wearing. And then they made a really obvious nod to it. I was like, oh, now I don't feel special anymore. I thought I was actually like here visually watching it and being like, I'm a genius. I saw the nod. That was oh no, they're just gonna make me feel like a preschooler, but that's fine.
It's weird that he makes a monster version of his girlfriend who doesn't do karate.
I know.
Doesn't that seem like it's right there?
Oh, yeah. Well, we did say he's bad at his job, so there you go.
Well, yeah, that's right. He's the worst artist. Although he does use his art to amazing effects later.
That's right.
Oh my God, and so fast.
Like when you were saying you didn't expect to laugh, it's so funny. I laughed so hard at them putting up that drawing. That is my number one favorite joke in this series so far.
I only wish they had set it up by his boss, like, opening the folder earlier and being like, "Ugh!" Like, terrified of the little monsters in the folder because he thought they were real. It set up like their cockroach vision was bad, but it's still really funny.
They could have sold it better. It's that, or you could do the character version of it where he hasn't been able to finish anything up to now, and you have a scene of him trying to draw the thing and he just can't finish it, and they have to be like, no, the fate of the world depends on you finishing this drawing. And then he does. He draws like a 17-year-old kid that looks 35, and then that's the end. Because that was the other thing that really shocked me, was them saying, yes, you're talking about our high school-aged son. And it's like, no, not him. The grown-ass man that we've just met in previous scenes. Like, why are that blew my mind that guy was 17.
Yeah, you're like, he's young, but he's for sure 24 at least. Like, he's very smart for his age, but yeah, not a high schooler at all.
I was so confused by that character as well, because that's the one that, like, when he like spins around in the big table.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was a big table. I was like, oh yeah, here's some weird, like, you know, the genius behind it all sitting at a big important table. And when they said the sun thing, my partner was like, no, is that meant to be like a small person? I can't tell if that's a child or not. It's not meant to be an average sized person, right? And I was like, I don't understand what's happening anymore. I thought it was just an adult sitting in a big table. They really tried to force perspective and it didn't work for me. Luckily didn't direct Lord of the Rings.
Like Joanna says, he seems young, but not that young. I wonder if they had him be a more obvious child and they thought it would be uncomfortable for him to die in a fire later. But I don't know. It's just a guess.
This series has not shied away from uncomfortable age casting before, Ryan, with Godzilla Raids Again.
That's true, and that was a long time ago.
Not to bring it back to one of our all-time favorite, I don't even know you call that, pet observations about that guy's girlfriend being like absolutely 11 years old looking.
Yeah, I thought that was your favorite joke, Sam.
That wasn't a joke.
I'll go back though and say her brother, brooding intellectual. So cute.
You still have a thing for those scientists in these movies.
I always do, especially if they're brooding.
I do love his naive heroics when he's constantly like, you can't get away with this, and then they're always just like shoving him around or knocking him out. But he's always trying, bless his soul.
I love that they were like, they thought about the guy who, you know, was drawing his comics somewhat unsuccessfully. I love that they were like, he will be a perfect addition, and we'll just be amused by him and having him around. Sure, why not? Like, no strong value add on his end other than, like, maybe a little amusing to have around and we could take him over.
They are definitely the stupidest alien invading force so far. They don't seem to have any long-term plans. Don't seem to be very interested in hiding what they're doing, actually. But I love them.
Also, Ryan, the stock footage piece, because I thought, like, man, it'd be really cool if they weren't just cockroaches. Like, if they had a cool alien look going for them, but was that potentially stock footage stuff too?
No, I think they just did that. That's actually one of the more creative choices, because I feel like maybe they were like, what's going to outlast us all? Cockroaches. So none of the cockroach stuff is stock footage. It's just newly filmed cockroaches.
I was a little like, why do cockroaches need a whole planet? Do they really need a whole planet? They gotta kill everybody for the planet?
It is unclear whether they are human-sized cockroaches or not. It is never entirely answered. This is random. One of my favorite parts of this movie is where the heroes are seemingly escaping from the park and their car is driving along, and they shoot lasers at it with the Godzilla tower and it explodes, and then they cuts to them in the bushes and they're like, it's a good thing we weren't in there. And it reminds me so much of that Simpsons gag. Sam, do you remember this? Where it's like Homer's sleepy in the car and he's like, I can make it, and then it cuts to the car exploding, and then they're in a hotel room like, good thing we stopped for the night. It read exactly like that scene.
Exactly like that, or the not ironic, completely dead serious, but lazy version of that is the Rise of Skywalker thing with Chewie in the spaceship.
Yep.
I just remembered something, and this makes me a terrible kaiju podcast guy, but there was a Gigan in this movie. I completely forgot about like the title monster.
And there's a reason.
Old robot chicken himself.
I was just gonna say the robot chicken. Oh my god, yes. Everyone got the same vibe.
So again, as like someone who's not seen any of these monsters before, like I know of the Godzilla figure obviously and what he looks like, but I had no idea about his little sidekick. And when we were introduced to the two space monsters, I was like, surely it's the three-headed one. He looks so cool. And look how much space he takes up. And then it was like, no, it's this one that's off to the side that took 10 seconds longer to morph.
Yeah.
With his weird pigeon head and clipper thingies, and his claws kept rotating weirdly. I was like, who's this Muppet with a sore belly? Get out of here.
Ghidorah is the long-running Godzilla adversary, but I think they just put him in here for the stock footage.
Yeah, he's the Professor Moriarty.
Exactly. The Professor Moriarty, the Joker.
Now, Angelus is like, again, who's Sherlock Holmes is like most distant acquaintance, because that's who Angelus is. It's like Dr. Watson's cousin. And yeah, and then you got a robot chicken with scythes for hands, which I kind of liked him, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'm gonna stand up for Gigan.
No. I hated his design.
What is that? Wallace and Grimace? What is that called?
Wallace and Gromit?
That's like what I felt I was watching.
Wallace and Grimace.
It's like the edgy new claymation coming out.
I will not deny that Gigan looks extremely silly. His design is a mess.
Compared to Ghidorah, too, so basic.
Well, not believable as a living thing at all. It somehow coheres together because he has a real character to me. He's like the sneaky, backhanded, cowardly one. And this is sort of something you see in subsequent movies with Gigan, but he's like the rat bastard who always leaves when the fight's not going his way. And so that kind of makes sense that he's like, oh, he's got the blades.
But I did feel like I was watching like a really weird like LSD trip of Chicken Run. Like I did, when you say Robo Chicken, I'm like, yeah, I felt like it was a weird Chicken Run character. And that's when you say Wallace and Gromit.
Yep.
Definitely he looks like a chicken, and you would think a laser would come out of his big eye, but none ever does.
No, and also when they're flying in from space, Ghidorah is all like, woo, heads are going, body parts are moving, and he is just like static. Dropping in from space. Like you're playing with a kid and they throw their stuffed animal and the stuffed animal's just like, boo! Like that's how it felt every time.
His arrival is definitely a little understated, and I don't understand why he explodes out of a big cartoon diamond either.
Oh, that was a fun part.
I appreciated the synchronized swimming in while they were flying, where they like just randomly somersaulted and were like, hey!
They practiced that. They were ready to work together.
They're not just gonna arrive without any, rehearsal. They're gonna plan it out.
Exactly. Earth is no chump planet. You gotta be ready. Speaking of Gigan, This is the first Godzilla movie where bloody wounds are inflicted during the battle, which I hated as a kid. I thought they were so gross, and I didn't like seeing Godzilla bleed. But it is certainly very shocking, especially when Angelus takes the saw to the face. That's like a Quentin Tarantino shot.
So brutal. And when Godzilla was thrown up against that tower, I was like, again, because it was going on so long, and I was like, all right, what's happening here? I did have a brief moment where I was like, oh my God, he's actually dead. They've done it this time. He's actually dead. Because that claw to the face that many times, you don't survive that. But then he did.
I'd say like highlights of the combat. Was it when, what's the like echidna looking one, the hedgehog looking one's name?
Angelus.
Isn't it Angelus who's like basically glorified booty bumping? Is it Ghidorah? Is that the two? I can't even remember. Mm-hmm. And he just repeatedly like throws it back on him. And I'm like, damn, Shotty's got moves.
You know that he's tried that move in the club and he's just been dancing and he's just wanted a dance partner and he's gone up and he's accidentally just booty bumped someone to death.
I'd hand on heart say if the actor in the beautiful Godzilla suit didn't get an Emmy for this, he's ripped off, because the amount of times he had to get back up in that poor suit, my lord, it was like watching a compilation of all the times Godzilla's been knocked down. Just play, I get knocked down, but I get up again. He just had to keep getting up, the poor soul, and it took him like, that's why it was 45 minutes of a fight scene. 40 minutes were him just trying to get back up.
It is very funny you bring that up, because our dear friend Haru Nakajima, who's been in the Godzilla suit these 18 years. This is his retirement. This was the last time he played Godzilla.
Oh, no wonder. It knackered him, the poor fella.
That's kind of a bummer.
I know, he was in his 50s at this point, and still taking fireworks to the head and getting knocked down and all that. God bless him, he's one of my heroes.
And that was just at home.
I was so glad I got to meet him, but this is his final bow as Godzilla, and I'm sorry it had to be this one where the suit's literally falling off of him. I got a couple winner lines in the dub. There's a scene where the heroes are explaining the situation to a general, and he says in an exasperated, whiny voice, "What do you want me to do?" He's just giving up.
That dub for that guy was bizarre. It was like suddenly having a 17-year-old be like, yeah, what do you want me to do? Huh? Like Waluigi just stepped in.
Wow, I'm so sad I missed it.
It's like the oldest character we've seen so far, and he has the most creepy, youthful voice.
Yeah, it's clearly somebody trying to do an old man voice, but failing and sounding weedily and whiny. And another line which made no sense at all, and I'd wish I did looked at the Japanese version to see what it was. At the end, the hot scientist guy is like talking about the space hunter aliens, the cockroaches. He's like, they were really terrible with their methods. Still, they did what they had to do. And I was just thinking, what? You're getting the little Stockholm syndrome after your release?
They were trying to wipe us all out, but they were really good speakers.
They didn't want to fully give up on their save the planet narrative.
The cockroach line was interesting at the very end. What do they say? I remember thinking that,
like when he's speaking as a cockroach.
No, just at the end they have kind of a let's hammer home the theme moment where the monsters are leaving, or Godzilla and Angelus are swimming back home, and they're like, well, after all, as everyone knows, aren't we all cockroaches? Or, like something like that.
Maybe that was the line in Japanese that was translated into, they did what they had to do.
Yeah, I think it might have been that moment. Because it's when that little, like, the actual real cockroach is just, like, scuttling across the floor in the, like, dirt.
Right, it's that, yeah.
That's probably the English version, yeah.
Well, a great moment in both versions.
And then they did, at the end, they had that classic, like, okay, they're walking into the ocean, the sun, it's beautiful, they're walking. And then they had that weird close-up on Godzilla.
Well, wasn't it the same shot they used at the very beginning to put the title sequence in? And that's why it was like, full circle, bye Godzilla, go back into the water. And I was like, don't turn around. Don't actually respond to them saying goodbye to you like you're some weird hero character for children. He turns around like, watch out.
Toxic world, radioactive wasteland. That was their like kind of underlying thesis that they sometimes hit really hard. Like it was Seaspiracy, and then it would like jump away and they'd never really get at it. But yeah, I feel like his look was kind of for that at the end there.
Too deep for me. Too deep for my tiny melted brain by that point. After the 45 minutes of fighting sequences, I was just concerned for the poor Godzilla actor's health.
Just with all of the 45 minutes of screeching in this film, I was like, why does no monster have like a "Rawr!" Like a classic, like I'm reading a book with my 4-year-old nephew and we're talking about monsters and the monsters are like, "Rawr!" Like low growl. They're all like, it is so painful to listen to for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
I've always kind of liked that,
They're all like metallic-y.
especially Gigan. But I've always liked that it's not just like a lion's roar.
It suits him at least because he's got like metal parts-ish.
I get it, them coming from space, but I think it's just when you see it all together that like they all
Have different types of screeching.
like, what's his name? His bestie.
Angelus.
Yeah, you'd think Angelus would be like, "Rawr."
Sorry, why is Angelus the most rounded one of them? Is Angle meant to be like, it's got angle in it, but maybe it's just, I'm taking it too Englishy.
It's technically angle-less. He's angle-less because he's round.
Ah, there we go.
On the subject of promises that the movie didn't follow through on, or just ideas that I was hoping for more from, when you see a giant building with a Godzilla kind of wrapped around the back of it, don't you just think, oh, at some point they're going to lose track of Godzilla and he will have replaced himself as the one on the building and he'll be hiding there, and then he'll like push the building on top of someone or attack them. When you see a full-scale replica of someone, they gotta swap places with it.
Isn't this in your favorite James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever? Or am I getting that mixed up? No, it's Man with the Golden Gun.
Man with the Golden Gun, literally the beginning of the movie, the bad guy has a wax figure of James Bond that he like shoots at, and then James Bond magically replaces himself with it and gets the slip on the guy and is like, surprise, and shoots him. It's pretty awesome.
You're right. That should have happened, where Godzilla was just standing there like this, and then he just jumps into the situation.
That, and at some point, I feel like Gigan needs to like kind of put himself in a Superman pose on the ground and then use his saw as a wheel and zip around on his stomach.
Ooh.
I'm sure they wish they had the money to do that.
I have a final thought, and it's a one-word final thought, and I hope everyone can agree with this sentiment, but turtleneck, 11 out of 10.
I was just gonna say, I have a note. I love all his tiny turtlenecks.
I feel like this wasn't meant to be in one day, but no one had a costume change, so this has been a very, very eventful day and a lot of swimming, and a lot of fast but slow swimming. But I'm not mad because he stayed in that turtleneck the whole time, and it was probably one of the best turtlenecks I've ever seen.
That's true. I didn't even think about that they're all wearing the same costume for the whole movie.
I was trying to get a grasp of time and place, and I just couldn't. I was just suspended in this Austin Powers realm.
I guess it fits with the comic book theme, right? They're cartoon characters. They're always dressed the same.
That's true.
And with that, my dears, let us go to the judgment. As Godzillavangelists, it is our holy duty to assign each movie its proper place in Godzillavangelist heaven, hell, or purgatory, depending on how we felt about it in our hearts and minds. It's time for Godzilla vs. Gigan to step up to the plate. Let's kick it off with Joanna.
So, for the first 40 minutes, I thought, okay, purgatory. I really like these characters. We'll see where it goes. And then eventually it just went into hell for me because I don't know that I would rewatch it despite how much fun I did have with these folks in the first 30 minutes. The plot just was not strong enough, and I was not available for that lengthy monster battle. And I think compared to the little story we had with the little kid and his little neighbor who makes the toys and how that felt more fluid in the overall whole of the film, yeah, I think this one be hell for me, which I feel like it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Maybe a high hell. You know, we like to do a low heaven. This will be a high hell.
What in the high hell?
The high holidays.
Hell or high water.
Definitely lots of high water in this film too. Or very, very low considering their head's out the whole time.
Yeah, and the bad design of the main monster. And me just again being like, why do we love Godzilla? Like, they don't have that connection to him that I want them to build it up again.
Fair. I cannot dispute much of that.
But I loved the cast.
Absolutely. All right, Sam, what did you think?
I echo a lot of what Joanna said, but I'd say that it started and I was like, oh, this is a hep. And then I think it dropped to, the second half of that I didn't enjoy. But I still think that in my personal enjoyment rating, it's kind of on par with a lot of them. Like, there are a lot of them where I am just wickedly bored during the monster fights. So
No.
I'd say this had some things that were genuinely very funny. The heights were high, and then the lows, there was a lot of flatlining. I'm going to go with a pretty textbook Purgatory for me. I'd say it was I liked things about it.
All right, that's higher than I expected, honestly. Although that is a brutal punch. I'm sad to hear you slandered the entirety of the monster fights.
Wickedly bored. Sorry, I'm going to keep that with me for forever.
All right, Says, how would you rank it?
I feel like I share a lot of sentiments with everyone here today. But as someone who actually isn't very familiar in much of any sort of religious thing, I can only assume purgatory is like an in-between, right? It's like a limbo.
Right.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
I mean, I would be too generous to categorize it as heaven because it's my first ever Godzilla film, and I was going in with like such low expectations of just like, I guess the last 45 minutes was what I expected it to be, but for the whole thing. And the fact that the first 45 minutes were genuinely like enjoyable, and I had an actual laugh at them and like with them, like that's heaven for me. And I guess, yeah, the second half is hell because I just wanted the poor dude to get off the ground and stay up for more than 5 seconds. And that, I guess, should cancel each other out into purgatory.
A nice scientific approach to a religious question.
45 heaven, 45 hell. Got no other option.
I'm now realizing if we're really going to stick to our heaven, hell, purgatory idea, we need to... Purgatory can be escaped into heaven. You can be called up from purgatory. It's just a waiting place. So we should have an episode where we now with the power of hindsight, we can revisit our purgatories and see which ones we let into heaven.
That's very true.
Ryan's sitting there like, I know, I've had this planned for years, you idiot.
That's the final episode of the series, and majority of that episode is going to be you guys, me being like, what happened in that movie? And you guys being like, this, and me being like, no, clarify a little bit further, and you guys being like this, and me being like, oh, right.
Don't worry, I'm going to make you watch all of them again for the finale.
Joanna, I'm amazed that you think I remember anything from any specific movie. I remember them in kind of like general pockets of like, oh, that was one of the alien ones, or that was one of the Rodan ones.
Man, this one really soured you guys. Last episode you were talking about how much you loved Godzilla and how you like had ideas about how he should be, and this time you're...
Ryan, in the middle of the fight, I was like, I think I need 6 months. I need 6 months before I can watch another fight. Okay, Ryan, where do you put it?
I wish I had more of a leg to stand on, because this is really kind of a stinker. I'm torn, because there's a lot of charmingly weird stuff, as we've talked about. I like the overall vibe, but it is way too long and feels criminally cheap. I thought a different one was the most incompetent Godzilla movie, but I think I have to call Godzilla vs. Gigan the most incompetent Godzilla movie.
I truly don't agree with that at all. I think it has problems, but I don't think it's the most incompetent of even the last 5 that we've seen.
I'm staking it out.
Fight.
That corn on the cob joke is going to stick with him for forever.
This is me turning around and aiming my spike butt at you.
But here's the thing, I don't care enough about Godzilla vs. Gigan to fight that hard that it sucks.
You're not going to buy a life-size replica rubber suit to put on and fight each other? Why am I here?
Now that's our finale, is a video of us wearing monster suits.
Ryan, so are you putting it in hell?
Well,
Ryan, no.
Ryan, join us.
with all that, and with all the stock footage, I was really feeling this as a hell, and it should be a hell. But after I watched the movie, I watched the trailer on the disc. And at the end of it, they have Godzilla talking with speech bubbles. And he says, come and join me at the movies. And that just hit me in the childhood so hard. I was like on the verge of tearing up.
No, that doesn't count. That's the trailer.
I don't care. Like, I can't let Godzilla down. So the worst I can do is purgatory.
You're a sucker, Ryan.
Come on, Ryan. High hell. High hell.
I can't do it. I can't let him down. Godzilla's waiting for me at the movies, Joanna.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I can hold strong down here alone.
Ryan, join me at the movies. Joanna, why did you put me in hell?
He sounds pretty demonic, to be fair. Joanna, my scientific brain agrees with you. It belongs in hell, but my heart cannot do it. It's like an Alfred plea. The official rating is purgatory, but in our hearts, we know he's guilty. We have another message here from Jorge C., who has emailed us about our King Kong episodes. Jorge says, I just wanted to drop off a little note to convey how wonderful you all are and how much I enjoy your podcast. Your collective chemistry is what makes your show work. Bravo! By the way, regarding your last podcast, I'm aghast that only Sam truly appreciates the cultural impact and significance of King Kong 1933. Yes, while I agree that the performances are somewhat stilted, let's not forget that some of these actors cut their teeth during the silent era, which makes the movie drag until Kong's first appearance. The film is a technological achievement on a scale like DeMille's The Ten Commandments was a generation later. Now, regarding King Kong Escapes, Toho strikes out once again with its creature design for Kong. This film's pathetic portrayal of the titular character makes me pine for Joanna's tired old man Kong from King Kong vs. Godzilla.
Drunk Kong.
What a shame. I'm so looking forward to the next podcast. I loved Skull Island, a worthy entry into the legendary universe. King Kong 76, conversely, is awful. It's incredible to think that Jessica Lange survived this dumpster fire of a film to garner not one but 2 Oscars during her illustrious career. Cheers, my friends. Love what you do. Love what you bring. Keep it coming. Warmest regards, Jorge.
Aw, that was so nice.
I know, that was a bit long, but I wanted to put it in because Jorge is a good writer.
And I loved it because I forgot how much Sam loved all those early Kong films. He was like #1 fan of them. I forgot.
I would challenge Jorge in that I think King Kong, in terms of generation defining kind of like effects movies, I really think it's even a step over Ten Commandments. I think Ten Commandments is kind of like in the like Ben-Hur camp of epic filmmaking, kind of large scale filmmaking. I think King Kong, I kind of said it, but I think King Kong is more in the like 2001 zone of like completely pushing the boundaries of what a film can do. I don't know that King Kong Escapes, I would say King Kong Escapes and this one that we just watched are awfully close in how I felt about them, with the difference being that Godzilla vs. Gigan had higher highs for me, but also sloggier slogs.
Says, thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Is there anything you want to promote? Your Twitch channel?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/SoSezJarvis. I play games and just faff about because I'm really bad at things. Like Dead by Daylight and Phasmophobia lately, because I'm a trash human.
Check Says out on Twitch. As for us, it means the world to us when you share the show with people you know. Please give us reviews on Apple Podcasts. We always need more of those. Please, please, please. If you can't do that, we also love your emails, YouTube comments, tweets, all that good stuff. Send us a message and hey, you could be on the show too, like Jorge. But thank you so much for listening and sticking with us. Next time, we're finally going to do War of the Gargantuas with my dear sweet father. So that'll be the next episode. So get ready for War of the Gargantuas. That's a really fun one. But in the meantime, keep spreading the word of Godzilla.
With his enormous body and droopy eyes. That's Godzilla.
Godzillavangelists is produced by me, Ryan Sargent, with support from my friends Joanna Brodecki and Sam Schlenker. All our incredible music is composed by Robert Mai, and our wonderful artwork is drawn by Cassidy Stone. This episode was edited by the ever-capable Julia Waldman. Special thanks to our families, friends, and the talented artists who made the movies that we talked about today. Godzillavangelists is a satirical, critical work, not affiliated or endorsed by Toho, Legendary Pictures, or anyone behind the Godzilla series. Visit our website at GodzillaVangelists.com. We're also on Twitter at GodzillaCast and Instagram at GodzillaVangelists. If you prefer to listen to us online, we have a YouTube channel. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you join us again next time. In the meantime, keep spreading the word of Godzilla.